What is going on today? We've got crazy dogs running through everything here. Let's let them out in the yard. You can see across the street there, the trees have that yellowish light green tint as they're coming in, and it's May 20th. So the D is a little cooler of a day. The 20th, I can quick get notifications there. 50 degrees. Yeah, there we are. So let's take a look at the plants, starting with the windmill planter. We've had some extreme work going on by that plant, so it ain't doing as well. I don't know how it'll do. We had to dig it all up for the sprinkler system there, and I'll show you that in a minute. But if we look here, look at this. Isn't that an amazing looking plant? Look at all the growth. It's growing quite well. All the red growth. That sun, hopefully it stays out of the clouds for this video, but look at that. Buds appearing all over the stems, and a couple, because these spireas got, most of the plants here this year got a big prune, so I'll discuss all that. The last time I made a video like this was probably back April, early April, kind of covered a little bit, but official one was February. So we're gonna do this now. So there's the first one, that's a spirea. Look at that. And then this one here actually tops the list, and it did last year too. Just look at all the growth coming out of this plant. Oh my God. So my pruning worked pretty well on these, especially when we look at the front ones. But just look at that. That's as of May 20th. Over here now is where we did a lot of digging, and it's trying. You can see it's trying. It's just behind. This one I cut completely flat to the ground to give it the best chance of survival, even though it's going to be not well because we had to dig all around it. Probably disturbed it a lot. So even it's been flooded out, I think it's still getting, let's look in the system here. Yes, it's still getting flooded out, you guys. So it's just bursting water down there, and it's getting flooded real bad. So who knows what's going to happen with that one. But we just fertilized the grass. You can see these little white tips all over. It's kind of crazy. Come on, son, get out of the clouds. Looks like we are in good news for that, though, overall. Not too many clouds there, so. And here's the junipers. We don't have much action on those yet, as they're conifers, so we'll get to that probably July is when they're going to start firing up. So we'll definitely be able to watch those. Here is the Potentillas, and they're doing well. They're getting old wood, too, so I might have to rejuvenational prune them, which is what I'm going to get to with that one. When I noticed finally off that one. But these ones here, they actually I thought they were dead, but they weren't dead. Even though there was no green, they felt all crisp. They're alive. Look at the growth. Just look at all that growth. Come on, cloud. It's staying right in the cloud on the good shots. But it's just an amazing amount of growth. Even on the ground, I had some I didn't cut. You can really see that on that one over there on the ground there, but we'll get to that. Well, here's the fountain. So here's the first fountain. Look at that. Just amazing. Running well. Little water splashing off the sides and in there, but it's all rolling back in. Not like we're losing much water. So let's just take 5 seconds to listen to this. Man, amazing. Well, let's look at this. So another good look at the one here. Quite well. For being an almost 25-year-old plant, it's growing really well. And had a lot of stress, so it's doing real well. These here had to be cut back. They had galls all over them. See, there's a lot of ants crawling on them. And they've been like that for so many years now. But you can see all the new growths, the new leaves popping out. So these should all have fresh new wood this year, which should look pretty nice. There's a lot of old stems in this plant. These plants used to be huge, so I thought, well, we got to rejuvenate them now, because some of them were turning black. So we got a pretty hard freeze this year. But there's so many ants in this area, it's nasty. I don't know what it is, but they've been there for years. And this one is the huge one. The one that before, these two plants that are now to the ground, once covered over this entire fountain. Just completely. I forgot the fountain existed. It actually had these two struggling. And that's why you can see it's thinned out quite a bit in here on this one, because these were so big. But now I cut this one flush too, just so it matched. And you can see there's ants on it too, on all these plants. But there's a lot of buds poking out and ready to go. So they should, let's see, an image. But just look at that. A lot of ants and growth. I'm trying to get a better view on it. You can see some there. There's some growths. None on the bigger stems yet, but I'm sure they'll come. Look at the ants. It's so crazy. We've got to get ant spray here. But it's just, I don't understand. There's no aphids visible on them. But, I mean, they're going to grow. They're always a little later, though, than some of the other plants. Same with the spireas, really. But, yeah. Look at these. This one's doing really well from the side here as well. Look at that. So vigorous amount of growth, which is really nice to see. I started thinning it, and it looks a little odd, but nothing was going to come out from there anyway, so maybe it'll let more sunlight in if I start thinning it out a little bit. Now I can see that what's dead. You can see this one here is just a little behind, but it is leafing out. So these are just really old plants, but they're doing well. That looks nice. This one, though, the front is struggling to get growth, but overall, these are going to look nice again. I didn't think we'd be this lucky this year. So we are really lucky. You can see just the dog fence and the trees and just how everything's starting to wake up. Some of the aspens around this particular area are very slow. I don't know why. But there's the other one there. These are really old plants and doing well. So I think if they ever start struggling a little bit, we'll just rejuvenate them because I'm going to get to that. Look at the candles. Look at how nice the candles on this bush look. Candles are growth points for a pine, a spruce, any type of conifer. Oh, I need to fill this one up. So let's do that quick. Alrighty, we just got it filled, tied over. Look at this fountain. Amazing. It's been running. It's been so buried in the back. I think I did make a video of this. I got real sick after it. I got a rash and everything. So it was kind of a crazy time, but I did make a video of this. It's a really nice feature to have running. And the plan was for this plant here, rejuvenated one, to come and shroud it over, which again, I'll talk about because I have a lot to say about that one. But let's just talk about this first. And there's that fountain there. Look at how it ties into the space. And we've got some sunshine, so let's keep it moving here. But look how it ties into that space. Just beautiful. These plants, these spruces now I want to let get real big, so we'll get into the spruce again. Or the pine, I'm sorry, again. But here's the fountain. Just take a couple seconds to listen to this one. Amazing. And that was completely put together kind of randomly. Dogs are barking, ignore them. But look at the candles, like how symmetrically they are on this plant. Just amazing. If we zoom in and look at that, you can see they're starting to just produce candles that are really healthy, nice looking. This is a dwarf Mughal pine, so they're pretty small, but they're pretty uniform as well, growing about the same height every year, so it stays pretty nice looking. And you can kind of control it slowly as needed. If we put this in the 0.5, I can show you. Just look at how nice the clusters of candles grow in these. So when you're pruning a plant like this, I made the mistake before, but it seemed to rebound back. Don't cut below the candle point. So on last year's candles, don't cut on those because they're not going to produce. They're going to have to take a year to produce a viable bud to grow out of. Kind of weird that they do that, but that's how they work. If you cut them below that, it takes a couple years for them to even push any growth. So, but they did, and this is that the second year of growth after the hard prune. That was well before, now their neighbor's dog's out. That was well before I had this channel up. So there's that plant, really nice looking. And while we're here, before I review that middle one, rejuvenated one, look at this. This here is another Mughal pine. It does not have as big as candles yet, but it's starting. Maybe just the lighting conditions, you can see the candles in there. And they're bigger over here. Still the same health, more compact, dense growth maybe. But you can see up there's definitely candles. And on the side, they're longest here. So kind of interesting there. The dogs are just going nuts over there with the neighbor's dog on the fence. You can see there. So they just run around now that we built that bigger fence. We had a bite actually before, which is not good. So we had to get a fence built really quickly. And now they will not be getting over it. Anyway, the rejuvenated plant, look at it. These ones were already leafed out like this before I even noticed anything like this. I was like, okay, I bet it's dead. It's poking up some growth. It seems like, though, there's something with this. It seems the only growth occurring is in the little area, which is what rejuvenational pruning will do. It'll bring back the area of the plant so it can grow without the rest of the dead covering it up. So we'll just see if more and more keep poking out, but that's all potentilla sprouting out from the base here. And it looks green and healthy. This plant, I did a video back on this in October. And at that point, it was pretty large, just as large as those. And I used my hedge pruner, and I'll tell you, it was the most damaging project on the machines and the units and all the tools needed to do the job. So thick, dense, it was brand new blades on the hedge pruner were getting jammed, and the actually cracked the blower thing. And even the whole pruning I did in April back in April, nothing caused it to do that like it did with this. So these are very dense, but you can see look at how nice the stem looks there. Wow, really nice growth. So this is going to be a cool one. I hope it'll keep pushing growth now that I freed it up and get something going. Or if it's just going to be scrawny or something like that, we'll just let it go until it dies out. But it was really struggling. There was only a couple live branches on it. So that was really not working well. But we've covered these now. We've covered this area. Let's go to the daylily area. I made a video of these, but I'm going to do it again. So here's the junipers again, not much of a difference. I'm going to let them grow for a couple more years before I do a hedge pruning on them again. I might do a little cleanup around the edges, but I don't mind that natural look as long as it isn't coming over onto the sidewalk. You know what I mean? That's pretty nice. Like over here and stuff, that's okay to do. These take a while to grow, so I'm going to let them grow and get that fuzz look on them. Especially these ones here that don't get as much sunlight, and that's what's happening with this daylily as well. So if we go ahead and look through these, still perfect time to film the video. The daylily here. Oh my God, look at it. This is the one year that the dogs have not destroyed these. Usually they have them destroyed, but they're doing really well. And they've got them, like in the beginning of the video, you seen, I don't think it was the coop right there. He ran over that one, and they're doing fine. Look at this one. Perfectly looking. Large, thick daylilies. You can see those two there. This one here, which always takes the longest, it's buried by ice. Majority of the year. I don't know, in February, I probably had a video of that. If you could even see at that plant and fountain update video, if you could even see the daylilies, I'm not sure. But you can see how it's smaller. And then these two here, larger daylilies. So we won't see scapes on these with the bloom heads until probably mid-July when we're gone. So when we leave for our 3 weeks, they'll probably just be producing scapes, which is the bloom heads, where they're yellow or whatever color daylily you have. And then when we get back, they'll be in full force through August. So these ones are a little different than the ones at the other area, which I did cover, and I'm probably going to have to cover again on this channel. Anyway, let's go to this little planter. Look at these. These have been growing more and more vigorously every single year. The amount of growth these have put on is just crazy. They're already thick. I mean, I couldn't put my finger down there without damaging something. Again, these are kind of like succulents. So if you touch them, you'll wipe off the little color on the leaf, and it'll kind of ruin the look. So you really want to avoid touching these. Water doesn't do it, but your hands will. But these have grown more than I think they did last year so far already. So these are doing really well. Because no one else ever pruned anything, so I came in here and started doing it, and these plants are kind of thinking, oh my God, now I'm getting something, let's start growing. This one too was always getting destroyed by the hose. And I'm very prudent about walking in here and not stepping on it. I don't know about others, but it's kind of in a sucky spot, but it does really well now that the hose is in a better place and not destroying it. So those two are looking really great. And here's our bonsai that I had to do. I did this back a couple summers ago. Now, I think back in the summer of 2022, I had to do this because this plant was completely dead all the way through. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to wait until it gets warmer. We're going to see what comes back. So I started to do that. I seen what was going to come back, and I cut everything else out because everything else was dead. It was a big freeze, hard freeze, and now it's doing really well. I had to remove a couple little branches this spring, but look at how well it looks and is doing. Just look at that plant. Like nothing I've ever seen before. Just amazing, that whole planter in general. Once those sedums, and I'll be making specific short videos on the sedums all year, and we'll just look at how those progress. And then here is the third fountain. Look at that. I need to fill it. It's got a little leak, but it starts to slime on the bottom, and then it holds its water a lot better. So let's just take a few seconds and look around this one, and then listen to it. Up here, I've got some cool rocks sitting up at the base. This piece is usually what's inserted in there to do this, but it's been popping out really easy recently, so I've just been taking it out. A little less of an issue to have to deal with. Got some nice rocks in the centerpiece here. A lot of junk up here too that I've got to clean out. I don't know what that is. But yeah, just listen to this. Just an amazing fountain. Alrighty, I think we've covered this area. So let's go ahead and talk about these quick fountains up here, because this is a plant and fountain update. So here's the deck fountain. It's got that yellow, orangish LED light at the top that you can see at night, which was kind of intermittent last year. We'll see if I have it connected better this year, if it's starting to go out. But we'll just see. Look at that fountain. And this one over here is a really good one for amount of, like, how long the water will last. Pretty long in this fountain. You can see here the pine cone's open. It's been closed for a while, so it's starting to dry up finally. So it's a good point to make this video. It's been real wet the last couple weeks and cold. So we're kind of at a pause for growth. But this one's really nice. Let's just take a second to listen to this one. The birds love to drink out of this one. They love the area in general with the wind chimes and everything there. But these aspens around town are actually in full bloom in some areas. One right across from the other area is just full leafed out everything. But the ones here seem to lag a little. I guess the ones down there are starting to. It's very species specific and area specific. Microclimates are big down in this area, the swampy area that we're in this particular location. But let's go over here and look at the dirt. I just wanted to show you guys what we were doing with the ground here. A lot of this is going to be just extra stuff, but it's all in this can and just dirt that we dug out of the ground and screwed with. So there was a lot of stuff going on, which is why that plant's struggling. Oh, here we go with the clouds coming in. Let's take a quick look at the front ones over here quick before we lose that sun. Amazing amount of growth on these that were extremely cut down. Look at how large they're growing down here after we cut them. I mean, just so many growths coming out of these areas that we weren't even seeing before. And the middles were slower now because they're rotted out a little bit because they were so thick. It took a while. You'll look, go back to the video in April I did, and you'll see how thick these were to cut. It was so crazy. It's just like nothing before. So yeah, there's that. They're producing growth, especially a couple ones over here. They're always a little late, but these, look how much dense growth is being produced right there. Look at all the growth coming out. Looking pretty nice. Little buds, they're just kind of producing as they please. But yeah, pretty thick growth. And it's gonna keep growing. So yeah, and then this one here, which was very not growing well. It's growing pretty well now. Yeah, look at that. Just variety of colors. It's like fall and summer colors in the same plant. And these grasses that grow up through there, I can actually pick out now. So yeah, they're growing quite a bit better. Yeah, growing way better there as well. You can see there's a couple of runners I forgot to prune. I thought they were suckers coming out of the ground, but they're actually connected to stems. So yeah, but they're doing a lot better than they were when they were big. And over here, this one seems to be doing well as well, just a little less growth. Maybe I didn't cut it down as far. Wow, got a speeder down that road. We just didn't cut it down as far. But yeah, they're all gonna do pretty well. I'm gonna get them all watered again. And the dogs, you can see what they've been doing. They chase the neighbor's dog and it creates, look at all the soil removed. So that's putting compaction on these plants, and having dogs and stuff does do that. It kind of stresses your plants. So these are they're getting old as well, but they're just starting to struggle a bit, but they're doing okay. These are the white spruce bushes, I think. This one had to have the front cut out of it, but it actually looks pretty nice from the side. So it's a natural kind of browning, but still really nice bush, because it's, they're really nice. Just kind of let them go through and do what they want to do. And this one here as well, it's got some middle dieback, but the ends look okay. So we'll just see what these do over the years. But sometimes these start to struggle in these areas. They get waterlogged and stuff, and they don't like water. So they're doing pretty well considering their circumstances. And these little things I put in here. So here's the two, oh, and I'll show that later. The two arborvitas, northern white cedars. And get that sun glare out of the camera there. But you can just, yeah, this one here. These were pruned back in December of 2023. That video's up on the channel. Or maybe it was 2023, I think. You can see quite a bit of growth has since came, and that's in one growing season. So this one will have quite a bit more. That's the same with this one over here. Pretty nice trees there. We'll take a far back view of that, but you can see what I covered in February, kind of the trunks, and the Fred usually sits back there. And all the dogs, you see they've got the soil disturbed back there as well, just from all the running across from the neighbor's yard. And here's this tree's underneath portion. Yeah. No. Look at this, a lot less ground disturbing area here. And the tree has a little bit less of a dense amount of stems compared to this one, like base there. So, yeah, a little less ground action here. They do run back through here, but it's not as compacted or densely ran by and active in traffic as this area across the whole fence because of the dogs. But you can see they're not really producing any growth yet either. It's just not that time. But those trees are really nice. And then we got these. These are the suckers that have been coming up like crazy. One of them's actually growing up through this tree, everything. So these now, and you can see they're poking up here too, out of previously cut areas. So I just got to keep getting these down so that I can focus all the energy into these two that I'm trying to get to grow, to make it a nice big bush here, but just the two, not suckering all over the place. So, and if that one ends up being better, I'll leave it. If this one ends up being better, I'll leave it. Just kind of, the goal would be to have one here, but I like the growth structure of that one a lot better than that one. So we're leaving both of them, and they're fenced because the dogs will run them over and destroy them. So that's what they're doing. But you can see they are producing quite a bit of nice growth. Look at all the green on those. And even that one there, just a little, with one stem instead of like 6. But you can see it's a perfect growth. So yeah, those are all the plants. But the main things is these here, they're always acting a little weird. They're a little lagged and delayed. It's typical of these here. They don't want to grow in the middle now because they've been so thick that they're rotted out in the middle. But this one here is doing so good. And, you know, we've had a colder time, a bit of cold. They're on pause. This one here, it's just slowly starting to come out in different areas, like compared to what it was doing. So it's just going to slowly keep popping out as it gets warmer and warmer in new areas. Even though some are fully leafed out, some areas are just starting. That's what's crazy with these. But you can see how black it is. If you go back to my April video, you'll see why it's so black. It was so thick that a lot of that stuff is rotten. You can still pull it out. See that? It's just, you got to keep up on these things. And before I started doing this, that was about 20 years. And then I started. So because no one else wanted to take care of the plants. And even when they did here, it was just a prune back. It was never a full-on rejuvenational prune, which scares some people. It scared me, but it is the best way to go. This one here, I think that it's just a little taller than the others, but it should come back well too. It's got a variety of growth popping up in all these areas, just a little bit lower now. So the cold has more of an influence on those than it did before. Because it was higher up, now it's low to the ground. Even a couple inches makes a big difference when it comes to frost. But this one's growing pretty good in the front, which is typical of these. They'll just kind of grow in one area and spread to the rest. But now it's got more airflow to do it more efficiently, which was the goal there. So we've got no more trees over there. We're gonna start getting in the shades. Let's run over across the street, see if I can get any more sun. Finish up maybe half-hour video here. Look at the aspens over here. Just look at the aspens over here. Look at that one there. Oh my God. Isn't that just an amazing tree? Wow. Look at that. Fully leafed out, trunked, and the stub, which we're gonna cover that actually. The big tree there doesn't have as much. The bigger the tree, the less the growth, I think. But you can see this one's got definitely firing up too for growth. The longer it takes to leaf out, for the bigger the tree, I think. But you can see the trunk on this one's just an amazing trunk. I love the structure on that one. But this one here, this is the sucker. It's starting to produce little ones at the base, which I'll have to kind of try and pinch off. I don't want to allow them to grow and over this big stem, but it's producing quite a bit less. And the story of this one is I let this one grow. I just let it grow. Accidentally, I forgot to cut it out of all the other ones that were growing for cuttings one year. And I said, oh, let's just let it grow. And so I did. And the first year, or the second year, it was, the first year, it was just as big as these. The second year, it got this much thicker. Now it's a tree. So you can see, look at all that. Amazing. It's just so amazing. We're gonna see how tall it gets this year. It should get that much more or more height this year, I'm hoping. So it'll be well above reachable point by next year. And that's only 3-year-old. And the trunk should thicken even more. So it's gonna be a beast. We're gonna kind of continue to experiment and see what happens with the eating of these portions here. And what I need to control the suckers on the side. This one, I will let sucker as long as it isn't interfering with this tree. But if it is, I'll cut them down. But yeah, so that one has not been touched except everything around it. You can see that's why there's no growth on the base, because it was all covered. It was actually a part of extreme growth. And then I posted that video too back, I think on August 12th or 13th of 2024. It is a posted video on the channel. But in here, look at the trees. Wow, just amazing. The spruce here, and this one here are single stemmed. I don't know, my camera's a little dirty or what there, but the single stemmed here is actually a project I'm trying to work on. You can see it's grown pretty vigorous compared to the cut stems that were next to it. These were left here as a kind of a determining factor to make sure that one was growing healthily, and it is, because all the other ones have not produced growth since I cut them, even in the cool shade and upright. But that one there, you can see, oh, we're behind a cloud now, or a tree, either one. But you can see it's produced quite a bit of leaves out of the stem that's left. So this hopefully one day will become a new leader off this big trunk, because it fell, it kind of broke. It's also producing a bunch of suckers I'll have to kind of rub off. But so I want all the energy this year to go into that one stem. And that should become the new tree, as it already, it doesn't look much like it now, but as it grows, it's gonna start to for sure. And this one here had a similar thing happen, but in a better way. I was able to cut back to the points there. And you can see on that big top stem, what happened was that little teeny node you see coming up at the top there, right there, the little teeny thing there, that was actually that was the original stem, and it broke. So I cut it all around and shrunk a little bit, and out of that came a large, huge stem, and that's the new leader for the tree up to the very top. So that's how trees work and regrow, which is really cool. But look at that thing in the back. It's an awkward shaped thing, but it's a really nice one, especially from the front. It's a really nice shaped tree. It's got some concerns, which will have to probably be eventually addressed, like the 2 lower limbs here, which are growing up, because it's not a natural growth as it's been pruned. They're growing upwards into the canopy of the tree. See that? Those might have to eventually be removed, but it isn't going to matter much, because the 2 stems that are there will take over as the tree once they get bigger. But for now, on the aesthetic looks, that's what that's going to stay. You can see the trunk. It's got a base, because back in the day, it was just covered with other suckers. So that's why there's a base there on that. But it's a very nice trunk. You can see it's been pruned. And now the tree kind of knows and doesn't need to produce much suckers along the base, because it's got the big top. So it kind of is trained, and it's still healing, but it's trained not to produce many suckers on the stem, as it's got a big top, so it does really well with that. But sturdy in the ground for the big heavy top, and it's a big thickening trunk that's still getting thicker. And it's going to continue to get thicker as it grows, because that top is demanding. It's not a natural top, so the trunk's like, okay, I've got to get thicker. And that's what I've noticed with this, is it's got noticeably thicker for a tree of its age, this trunk to get. This one here is going to start rocketing, you guys. This is kind of an experiment, because it was too close. I didn't want to jeopardize on the tree. It was already up to there, so I cut it to the base. And that's what I'm saying about that one's a lot thicker than it should be, just a little thicker than that at this point. But it's thick because the top demanding top. But this here is gonna just launch when it starts getting warm. Because the ones I took the rest of the top part of this, put it in my room in a cup. It is so thick growth. I bet that bud right there is gonna be so thick. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So, it's gonna produce big, vigorous, thick stems that I can harvest for cuttings and at least make some use out of this thing. It's even sprouting down here, which it was not doing when it was a tree form. It was not producing all over the place. So yeah, that's gonna be really nice there as well. And there's the spruce. See, it's got a lot of growth underneath, but it's wet. So hopefully I don't see any buds though. I don't know, it's little stress points on some of it, but overall it's still looking pretty nice. So we'll just see what happens with it. I don't know if it's gonna survive, but see if it can push any more growth this year. That was the one over in the planter across the street. So yeah, should be good. And it's got a trunk too, which still looks healthy. And the needles are still hanging on. Unless you break them off, but they're still hanging on. And over here we have another little one, which could possibly turn into a tree. It's not very vigorous, but it's healthy. It's got a lot of growth. Let's see if I can put it on right here. So yeah, it's got quite a bit of growth. So that could definitely turn into a tree. And here we've got the system sprouting up two little bushes type things, which I'm leaving. These are all opportunities for a dense bush right here and a tree right there. And you know, there's a lot of opportunities here that and these survive the thick, deep snow. They've also got a little bit of shelter from this, but look at that tree in the 0.5. Wow, it caught my eye. But yeah, so those are an opportunity for sure. They're going at it again over there. Pretty cool there. See what they're doing to the plant in the corner. They're just demolishing it. But that's kind of what having dogs is. I'm gonna play at the fence. I gotta get that one out for a walk today. But yeah, if you look from this angle too, look at that. Just an amazing looking tree in general. Put it in the 0.5, you can see the full perspective of the area. That over there with that stem should become a nice tree because look at it. Perfectly apically dominant to the stem. Pretty nice. Well, that sun is still shining up there. This one's big and it's dying. See how it's suckering there and the top's dead? There's one living branch at the top, so it's losing lots of limbs, becoming kind of dangerous, and that's what split one of the trees here. So it's just kind of you don't want to be standing right there in a windstorm because it can get pretty bad. And this aspen here, it's covered by the other tree. You can't really see it, but if you go here, a lot of the green is from this tree, but you can't really tell how much it is. But either way, it's a really nice structure. If we go underneath it, we can look, see how much grass is growing here since that mower we need to fix. But it's looking nice. The trunk goes up quite a ways, and then we've got the tree. You can now see the green growth from it. So they're late. They're not very leafed out yet, but they're in the very early stages. These I need to nip, kind of rub. You can just rub these things off. See that? Keep your trunks clean. I don't want them down this low for sure. Up there, I could leave a little if I did ever want it to grow, but it'd take too long. So I'm not even gonna worry about that. But you can see the wind blows through this one really nice. It's a very lopsided tree, but very strong. So the wind shakes that trunk like no other, because it's growing sideways to accommodate for that big tree. So there's a lot of weight, and you can see there's a bigger root there. And it goes a big root, connects a tree, which was a sucker at one point, and then another root. It's called a rhizome. This thing is a rhizome that is now a tree that once was produced here. And it's even produced, this is how many buds a tree can produce, adventitious buds, dormant buds, even down here from growth so many years ago, it's still growing from. Whenever it feels a need. For some reason, it feels a need to produce these because it was cut. So, kind of interesting there. Almost, I think I just got a spider on me. I thought that's what I felt crawling on me. But I am not sure. There was a spider on there I just saw. Either way, the grass is getting pretty long here, which is nice. The area is getting really green. Here's the willow. Fully leafed out. Amazing looking tree. Very thick grass in here. You can see there was a couple tire marks and I quit driving in here I don't want to compact it. So I quit doing that. Looks like it already did in some of these areas. Just smashed, it'll grow back, but very thick grass in here. And it's gonna get real thick in that back area, but it has been driven on a little bit. So it's not gonna be as vigorous as it was before. It's still gonna be nice and green though, especially in these areas. It's gonna get real green, and by those trees back there, it should get pretty green. But we're gonna check out one last thing, two last things before we call this a day. It's almost a 40-minute video, and it's almost 4 o'clock. Back over here, these are the lilacs, and at the top, we do have quite a bit of producing blooms. See that? It's kind of hard to see it, but yeah, these were huge, and I cut them back, and the tops are kind of dwindling on them. But this one's doing all right. I don't know if kind of yellowish leaves, kind of the buds there, but yeah, they've got a lot of lilac buds. If you can notice those on there. And the bottoms here is starting to grow, but I had to weed eat this one. We'll let the new ones produce and see if they come up better this year. This one here, though, I didn't, and I was able to let grow. Look at how vigorous the bases are. That's going to become the new lilac eventually. So once they get big enough, it'll take over the big one again. So we'll just let those do their thing, and I'll probably have to come in and thin it out at one point. But yeah, pretty cool how that's growing. And then a little tree right here coming up, it'll become a new lilac bush. See what it's producing. Look at that. Really, really nice bloom heads on that. That's going to become, it's established enough, and it's its own individual little area, and it's got room, so it'll become a new tree, which will be kind of nice. It'll be a nice block kind of for the area if those can continue to grow. This is dirt bike tracks. See, there's a lot of action, and it's affecting the growth compared to over here where there's not much action. That's called compaction to your grass. But there's some key areas that are not getting it, which is a good thing. Over here, it's all just a rocked mess, so not much undergrowth. But this here is starting to grow too, getting pretty heavy and large. Up there, I'm trying to look. Some of these stems didn't make it through the winter, and I'll have to take that into account now and to go up and prune this tree again. But I did a huge pruning on this back in March, the end of March, which I have on the channel. And it seems I got most good stems, but some are not too vigorous, which is they got winter burn, like the one right there, and right growing up right there. Those I'm gonna have to remove and just keep the best vigorous stems now. So you do the big pruning when there's no leaves, then when there's leaves, you come in and do the check to see what one. Look at how long some of them are. Do the check to see what ones are actually growing out of the batch you just pruned, and then that thins it out even more. Because there's already some I see I'm going to have to get out here and prune before I can't see them anymore, and it becomes a mess. Even this little one here, the end isn't growing. There's no reason to keep that. So I need to get in here, and that's what happens when a tree gets topped. We were going to work on the garage, so I had to do it. But yeah, so we got to come in now and thin those out and just pick the best stems and give it the best chance at growing those stems. You can see it's already trying to produce a lot of growth, so it's a vigorous tree, man. It's doing anything it can to get growth. But yeah, that's the areas. This is the other area, and that's the area over there. So pretty nice. My throat is a little dry now. I've been talking so much. But yeah, thought I'd cover these both areas just to kind of give us a quick look. So we will see you guys in the next one. I'll probably make another one of these videos just for the area over there in June, quicker, just more into it. And over here, we'll have a separate video. But just wanted to make the video and get it done. So we'll see you guys. So basically just a quick trunk look. 3 trunked base right there. And the 1 trunked base over there. And just as the sun, well, I've still got some good sun. So I'm going to get out and finish a few things. Probably start up a flatbed out there and just get some stuff done. So we'll see you guys in the next one.